Hey guys, I'm Brooks.
And I'm Mandy.
So we're husband and wife entrepreneurs, and we believe that life and business are a giant adventure, and we want to live it with you guys.
So let's get to it.
Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, Mandy and I are going to talk a little bit about Airbnb. It's so not even just Airbnb, but just a short-term rental business in general. So we have a home that's in downtown Mobile that we have rented via Airbnb and also VRBO, which is another short-term rental platform for is it 3 years, 4 years, Mandy? Do you know? I know you're my time person.
At this point, I believe it's over 5 years because
What?
you were Airbnb-ing while you were living there before we got married. So
True. Yeah, we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
That's not the way I suggest Airbnb being a property.
I don't either.
But we're trying to make some cash. It's like really cool. But then after that, didn't we? We had a renter that actually leased
For
it
about a year.
for about a year, and
Yeah.
then we went back to Airbnb.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So okay. So for a number of years now, yeah, we've been renting this property mainly via Airbnb, but as a short-term rental property. It's in downtown Mobile, and that's the reason why we wanted to do it. And so recently we kind of just examined the opportunity, and we're already in real estate. We have broker's licenses. Well, Mandy, you just went inactive, so I still have a license. But we're married though, so it's kind of like one and the same. You don't necessarily both need licenses. So we're active in the real estate world. We're always kind of looking for investments. And so we said, we're talking about getting rentals long-term as part of, kind of a retirement plan. And so we kind of said, hey, like we know how this operates. We're comfortable with the platform, right? Mm-hmm. We've had really good experiences with people at our home and taking care of it.
Do you want to explain a little bit what short-term means?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, so we probably should. So Airbnb's now been around for I think 11 or 12 years, so it's a really, really stable platform. So the bulk of people have probably heard about it. But yeah, short-term can be anywhere. It could be a night. We had a minimum of a 2-night stay at our property, so people would rent for at least 2 nights, and then we had sometimes where people stayed more than a month actually. If they're here for work or a corporate job, they need it for a month. So we've had a few a little bit longer than a month, but mostly, the longest is typically around 30 days. Sometimes it's a week. But the typical stays, I would say like 2 to 3 nights, or our average is probably 3 nights for like an average stay. But yeah, so in essence, what you're doing is just a person that needs a place for short term for vacation, work, travel, whatever reason that they're coming to our city. And so that's kind of what that is. And I would go ahead and say that I prefer that method of renting than a long term. I don't know why. I just do. It's like for me, the advantages are that I feel like there's less wear and tear on your property because maybe we rent the property out 15 nights a month or 20 nights a month, and people are they're kind of staying there, right? Like during the day they're out doing whatever business that they're doing or whatever event that they're doing, and then at night they're just kind of crashing at your property. They're not like living and hanging out at your property all day long. And so the way I see it is that like stuff doesn't get really hard wear and tear on the property. And so that's probably my main reason. Also, the second reason is just that you can make more revenue on a short-term basis. I mean, just kind of look at what a hotel costs per night and, kind of gauge in there that's what you're renting your home for. So you can make more money on a monthly basis. And obviously the, utilities, you're providing a fully furnished place. So there are higher expenses as well. But, overall, we've looked at it and kind of run our numbers, and we really like the returns. We like how the system operates, and we're just comfortable with it. And so we're looking to expand that. So right now, we're literally in the middle of Sunday afternoon. We went and looked at a number of properties. The interesting thing is that we're looking for both places that are for sale, but also places that are for lease. So there's a strategy that people call rental arbitrage. Had you ever heard that term before?
I thought you had made it up.
Yeah.
So if you could explain that one a little bit.
You're like, Brooks, what are you scheming now? So,
Right.
okay, so I didn't make this up. It's nothing sketchy, nothing weird. Basically, what you're doing is you're finding a home that's for lease, and you're asking the landlord or the owner, you're asking them, hey, like, would you allow us to lease the property and then sublease it, like, as a short-term rental, as a corporate rental? And I think some people maybe are kind of like sketchy maybe about it or whatever. Like maybe they don't tell a landlord what they're doing, which I think is really dumb. I mean, it's just literally my first question to any property I see that looks interesting. I'm just like, hey, would you have interest in this? If they say no, then great, I move on. If they say, yeah, we'd be open to that, then okay, great. Then Mandy and I go step 2 and we go have a look at the property. And we have one right now that we potentially are going to sign a lease on. And, we're already like looking at furniture and all this. And so for like a 2-bedroom place, it's probably going to cost, I don't know, what, $8,000, give or take, to fully deck. And when we say fully deck it out, you have to fully deck it out, right? It's all your furniture, but it's also everything living, right? So all pots and pans and cups and plates and stuff.
Everything that you would need, the comforts of home if you were to cook a meal or do laundry, those kinds of things.
Exactly. And so that one's a 2-bedroom that we're looking at. And we think 1-bedrooms, maybe we can get away with maybe like $6,000, give or take. I mean, and that's kind of the whole kit. It's like buying all the stuff, also like, having it set up, getting photographs of the place, which is, we've kind of found a great local real estate photographer. It's about $100 for that. We think that's paramount if you're going to get into this type of business. And so, anyways, that's kind of the price points for those. And so rental arbitrage is just it's finding a lease that you're on the hook for the lease, right? Like we're willing to take a risk and sign a lease for up to 12 months. Right? So it means if it doesn't go well and we're not renting for what we thought we would, or if it's not, I don't know, if just something doesn't work out, like we are legally obligated to pay that lease. I mean, maybe if something went really bad, maybe we could potentially offer to get out of the lease early or something and have some kind of buyout. But worst case scenario, like we're prepared to pay the 12 months of that lease, deposit up front and do that. But we're also looking at properties to purchase to do the same thing. And, we're looking in our downtown area as well as our midtown area, just because of research that we've done, just kind of shows that, okay, that's definitely our best area, which totally makes sense because it's close to the action downtown where people might come in for conventions or need to do business. And so we're looking at that. And it's interesting because we're creating this filter of how we're looking at properties. And so what we're saying is that if we're potentially going to buy a property to Airbnb, we want it to work in one of 3 ways. Like we want it to potentially work as a flip where we would buy, renovate, and sell the property. It also needs to work as a long-term cash flowing rental. And then it also needs to work as an Airbnb short-term rental. The reason I think why we want it to work for all 3 is if one aspect doesn't work out, you have the ability to use one of the other 2 strategies, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not as easy to have one work for all 3, but I can say that as long as you're starting in the area that you're looking in, like wherever that is in your city or whatever, as long as you're starting in that area, if it fits in my opinion, if it fits for a flip deal, a renovation sale, then I think by default it typically will work as a long-term rental as well as an Airbnb property. I could be wrong. There's obviously not going to, all circumstances probably aren't going to work out like that. But if the numbers work for the renovation flip, then it most likely is going to work for the other 2 as well. So what are your thoughts with what I know? I'm always one with crazy ideas or they seem kind of crazy, right? Like kind of adventurous, like, hey, let's check this out.
Yeah.
So when I presented this to you, like, what was your honest opinion?
When you first presented it to me, you presented it to me in the form of, hey, let's buy an RV and put it in the yard and have people come in and out, rent it through Airbnb and those kinds of things. And I was like, absolutely not. This is our house. This is our yard. This is our, and then, I don't know, I started thinking about it and I was like, wow, this really could be a great income generator. And then we get an RV out of it. And so the conversation started there. And then he started bringing up the rental arbitrage thing. I was like, oh, great. We gotta watch what you're watching or listening to on podcasts. But, which I think where you found the idea, possibly.
YouTube, podcast.
Yeah. And so, but no, the more and more I thought about it, I was like, hey, this could actually be a legitimate side hustle for us and included with everything else that we do. So, I'm sold.
All right. I like that. I've got that on a recording that you're sold. That's good. I'll be playing this back.
Yeah.
I'll be playing this back in like a year or two. Be like, hey, remember when you said you were sold? It's funny. I almost forgot about the RV idea. And so like we're actually moving forward with that one. Like we cleared our yard out, which was literally an acre of a jungle that we've never known what to do with. We've never cleared it because we didn't know what we were going to do, right? But now we kind of have a plan. We have a plan with that. And so we're, kind of moving forward there. We have some trees to cut, then we have to talk to an electrician, a plumber, and then we're going to make a spot for this Is it an RV if it's a travel trailer? Maybe it's a travel trailer. I don't really know what you call them, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I think an RV is the one that you drive. I think.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna get one that you pull behind. So pull behind your truck and like
fifth wheel.
A fifth wheel. Yeah. Well, no, ours won't be a fifth wheel because you have to have a special truck for that. Anyways.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about it because we get to make it funky and make it our own, right? Make it really cool. We're probably gonna like build a deck off of it and have some cool lighting and stuff. Anyways, I think it'll be really neat.
It's not going to feel like a typical RV. Whenever or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever
exactly.
we get a camper, whenever we get done with it.
Exactly. But this for us, and so usually I listen to podcasts or watch YouTube or whatever and get some new business idea. I have hundreds of ideas, but you can only tackle a few at a time, right? But so I get lots of ideas. But when I listen to this, my first thought, I was like, oh man, this is kind of a cool idea, and I was like, wait a minute, we've literally been doing this for 4 years or 5 years or whatever.
Right.
We're literally already running this business.
Right.
We're already doing it, and it's kind of excited me because it's making me. While we are profitable at our house downtown, I feel like we could fine tune it and get better. Like we're actually looking at making some improvements to the property to make it even better, and maybe our rates even go up. Maybe the comfort of the guest even goes up. And so I don't know. I'm kind of excited about. Cranking that and fine-tuning and looking at that property even closer and then having a good outline for future properties that we do. And plus, we always talk about, like, cool, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, like, we don't have, what's our retirement plan, right? And so I think this is one of those. Potentially acquire some properties that we can rent on a short-term basis. And, so not only do we get the act of doing that and having fun and making income, but, if we have mortgages on these properties, which we will, if we get to have multiple properties, we'll be paying down those mortgages over time and then eventually have assets, the homes that will be, in essence, our long-term kind of part of our long-term retirement strategy. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you have not dived into Airbnb and checked it out, I would advise you to do it. We actually have a link, not to like get you to entice you for that or whatever, but a link if you want to be a host or get a stay. I think you get a discount. You get like $40 off a stay, or you get some money or whatever if you use a link that we have. And so I'm happy to include that, for you, like where this ends up being in our show notes or whatever. I'm happy to put that there for you. But if you have questions about Airbnb or how it works, like, connect with us. I'm an open book there. I'm learning as I go. Even though we've been doing it for 4 years, I also feel like we're brand new because rental arbitrage is new, different types of properties. Having more than one property, so kind of like developing a team. Like we have a really good relationship with a cleaner that's going to clean our properties as we go, and we'll grow with her. And that's another thing, just as one side note there, is that I think the biggest thing about the properties or about Airbnb is honestly that cleaning aspect.
It has to be clean.
Yeah.
Squeaky clean and done right.
It's like when you show up to a hotel. I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's hotel service, right? So when you show up to a hotel room, you walk in, you're like, yes. You're all excited. I mean, if you walked in and I don't know, the bed wasn't made and like clearly it wasn't spotless, I mean, you would have a huge issue. And so it's the same thing with Airbnb. That's exactly what guests expect, and that's what you want to give them. You want to give them the comfort, welcome them to your place. And it's there's ways you can go above and beyond. You can leave a snack in the fridge. You definitely want to have coffee. You can leave some chocolates on the pillow, or that you can do those type of things that just welcome people and kind of go
added touch.
Yeah, exactly. The added touch and go above and beyond. But we'll make another. This won't be the last episode, I assure you, for talking about Airbnb. Like as we get further along in the process, we'll do a follow up. Episode, and then maybe we'll have at that point. We'll have, who knows? Maybe we'll have multiple properties or something we can talk with and tell you guys what we've learned. So, but until then, reach out to us and we'll connect with you next time.
See you later.